السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Quran Weekly where we try not to get distracted by Romeo, where we read the Quran in Arabic and discuss it in English. My name is Ahmad
And my name is Safa.
and we are happy to jump back into the Quran starting with verse 458. For those that are new, it's chapter 4 verse 58. And before we read any Quran, we always start with أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, which means, of course, I seek refuge from God, from the devil, and in the name of God, the most merciful, and whose mercy is most encompassing. And then we get straight into it.
إن الله يأمركم أن تؤدوا الأمانات إلى أهلها وإذا حكمتم بين الناس أن تحكموا بالعدل إن الله نعم يعظكم به إن الله كان سميعا بصيرا.
Okay. Continue. Just so you can see it. But it starts off with a nice verse. Indeed, God has ordered you to render the trust, the things that you have been entrusted with, towards its owners. And when you judge between people, that you judge with justice, because indeed God is na'imma,
Advises you the best things.
Advises you the best thing. Yeah, the best things advises you with it. Indeed, God is all hearing and all seeing, asking for fairness and for returning what belongs to those who deserve it. Clean, beautiful verse.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nice and easy to get through.
Yes.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم فإن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله والرسول إن كنتم تؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر ذلك خير وأحسن تأويلا.
Okay. And yeah, recurring themes here, but we see, O ye of those who believe, obey God and obey the messenger, and those with authority from amongst you. So then if you disagree in any matter or anything, then refer it to God and his messenger. If you truly believed in God and the day and the final day, the last day, that is best and most suitable for a final determination.
Yes. So and we will find the next verses also speak about this topic, that if there is an argument to to follow the God and the Prophet in the disputes. And here it says, so obey God and the messenger and those with authority, which is a bit unclear. So there are different interpretations for who is of authority.
Yeah.
But I think the most common explanation is the ones who are in power. So like if we are in a country, then the people who implement the laws, the governor, and so on.
And hopefully those people are qualified to get there, but generally the judicial systems are supposed to be designed in a way that those who judge are good.
Yeah.
Some countries do that better than others.
ألم تر إلى الذين يزعمون أنهم آمنوا بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك يريدون أن يتحاكموا إلى الطاغوت وقد أمروا أن يكفروا به ويريد الشيطان أن يضلهم ضلالا بعيدا.
Okay, So here we get into a little bit of contention, a little bit of drama. He said, "Do you not see that towards those who claim that they believe in what has been revealed or brought down to you, and what was revealed and brought down from before you?" So this is obviously at the time of the Prophet. They wish to go for judgment. They wish to direct judgment towards the false deities, the wrong beliefs, and surely they were ordered to reject or disbelieve with it being the messages that have been brought down to you and before you. And the devil wishes, shaitan, the devil wishes that for them to mislead them and mislead them astray very far away.
Yeah, I have a few comments on this one. So this is the verse is directed towards the Prophet. So it's speaking to the Prophet that there were some people who claimed that they believe in the Prophet and in what was revealed before the Prophet. So that basically is what Muslims are ordered to believe in the message of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the messages that came before him to the previous messengers of God. So these people, they claim that they believe, but still they want to go to other authorities, and this is why it's related to the previous verse as well.
Okay.
When it comes to an argument, to a dispute, they didn't take the judgment of the Prophet, and they went to take the judgment of someone else. Here it says الطاغوت يتحكم إلى الطاغوت, and we've seen this word before. It can mean false deities, and it can mean someone who doesn't judge with God's
God in their hearts.
commands.
Yeah.
It can be a priest who doesn't, who is fooling people. It can be someone who, it can be someone with different intents, let's say.
Yeah.
And here it says they were ordered to disbelieve in this taghut, which can also refer to the devil, by the way. In other places where a taghut was mentioned, it was referring to the devil. And here I think it brings the concept of the devil, the false deities, evil,
And
in general, I think.
the thing that comes to mind for me is also the concept of worshiping, and you can worship something other than God, and that could be also worship of money. So you could be worshiping a system, a capitalism, a perspective that is beneficial for you, better financially than would be what God is saying, which is, be fair and give back to everybody what they deserve. So this is kind of an idea that pops in my head when I hear taghut.
Yeah.
Like worshiping money rather than worshiping God, for example.
In the interpretations, there is a story mentioned that there was a dispute between two men, and one of these men was actually one of the people who claim that they believe, and they are called in these verses al-munafiqun, which means the hypocrites. So these are people who claim to the Prophet that they believe in Islam and that they are Muslims and they follow him, while actually inside of them they didn't believe.
Yeah.
So they actually had bad intentions towards the Prophet. So these two people went to the Prophet because of a dispute, and then the Prophet made a judgment. He said, okay, you do this, you don't do that.
Yeah.
And that's it. So they left, and then they didn't accept this judgment, and then they went to someone else who is not a very good man to follow his opinion.
Yeah.
So they say that this is why this verse came.
Okay. Okay. Well,
We will continue. And the next verses are also related to this.
Okay.
وإذا قيل لهم تعالوا إلى ما أنزل الله وإلى الرسول رأيت المنافقين يصدون عنك صدودا.
Yes, this is exactly as Safa was saying. And when it was said to them, come towards what has been revealed, what God has revealed, and to the messenger, you see the munafiqun, this is the word that she was talking about, the hypocrites, yasdun, which means turning away from you, in aversion. So yasdun wa sudud is the same kind of term, and yeah, turning away from you in aversion. Turning away from you stubbornly.
فكيف إذا أصابتهم مصيبة بما قدمت أيديهم ثم جاءوك يحلفون بالله إن أردنا إلا إحسانا وتوفيقا.
And then you see a consequence of their actions. So how if befalls for them a disaster from what was sent forth from their own hands, what was their own doing, they get a disaster from their own doing, and then they came to you swearing by God and that we did not intend except to do good and to reconcile. But as we know that they're the hypocrites, we know, we know that they're not up to their words. And yeah, when disaster falls them, they go, oh, we only wanted to do what was good, which is, we know is not true.
Yeah, exactly.
أولئك الذين يعلم الله ما في قلوبهم فأعرض عنهم وعظهم وقل لهم في أنفسهم قولا بليغا.
Those are the ones who God knows what is in their hearts. So turn away from them and admonish them. So caution them.
Advise them? Oh, okay.
Advise them, caution them, and say to them concerning themselves a word that is penetrating. Give them advice that will shake their souls. Speak directly to their hearts. Stay away from them, caution them, and pierce their hearts with your advice.
Yeah, and another explanation to this word, it says that keep it between you and them. So speak to them directly between the two of you, and make the advice between the two of you. Don't make it like
don't publicly declare them. That's interesting. Yeah. So, or don't gossip about them, which I think is kind of important.
ما أرسلنا من رسول إلا ليطاع بإذن الله ولو أنهم إذ ظلموا أنفسهم جاءوك فاستغفروا الله واستغفر لهم الرسول لوجدوا الله توابا رحيما.
The good news is that you're not doomed if you make these types of mistakes, and we did not send any messenger except to be obeyed by the permission of God, and if when they wrong themselves, they come to you and they ask for forgiveness from God, and the messenger asks for forgiveness for them, they would have found that God is oft forgiving and most merciful, and you can repent and you can fix and you can heal from that.
لا وربك لا يؤمنون حتى يحكموك فيما شجر بينهم ثم لا يجدوا في أنفسهم حرجا مما قضيت ويسلموا تسليما.
Okay, but not your Lord.
But no,
by your Lord,
like when you swear, you say by the name of God or something.
Swear by God.
Yeah.
They do not believe until they make you judge. They will not believe until they make you judge in what arises between them.
Yes.
And then they would not find in themselves any discomfort,
in following what you
what you have decided, and they submit a full submission.
Yeah, I think this verse and the previous ones, the message is like how important it is to follow the Prophet and to follow the orders of the Prophet. I think it's one of the next verses that says, by following the Prophet, you follow God, because he was the messenger of God, and his decisions were inspired, or how do you say that?
Yeah, godly inspired, divinely inspired.
Yes. So he was not doing it from himself. And in the previous verse it says, God only sent the messengers to be obeyed. So the messenger comes with the word of God to be obeyed.
Yeah.
So here it says that they do not believe. These people, they are not considered believers until they let you judge in their disputes and they obey it, and they don't find discomfort in accepting your decisions, and they fully submit. وَيُسَلِّمُ تَسْلِيمًا. It comes again from Islam, taslim, that
Peace
they
of surrender.
completely submit.
Yeah. I also kind of want to mention that the word used is mostly messenger, not prophet.
Yes. It's Rasul is messenger. Yes.
Yeah, it's mentioned more here, I think. Yeah, Rasul is messenger is the word that's kind of being used. And that's why you notice even in the English translation they say it in between brackets, because it's not said, but it's understood as to be that.
Yes.
ولو أنا كتبنا عليهم أن اقتلوا أنفسكم أو اخرجوا من دياركم ما فعلوه إلا قليل منهم ولو أنهم فعلوا ما يوعظون به لكان خيرا لهم وأشد تثبيتا.
Okay, this is a bit of an interesting one. And if it was decreed, or it says written, katabna, but it means like told to them as a command, kind of, to them that they should kill yourselves. This is a bit of an interesting one. To sacrifice themselves.
Yes, and it has different explanations as well.
Yeah, well,
we can get into it after you finish it.
Or to go forth or evict themselves from their homes. Then they would not have done that except for a few of them. But if they had done what they were advised with, then that surely would have been better for them and stronger and strengthening. So here it's saying even if they were decreed and told the judgment is that you have to kind of let's get into the definition of kill yourselves. What is that? What is the perspective of this?
Yeah, so it can mean really kill yourselves. And it said that this was a command that was given at a certain point to Bani Israel.
Yeah.
If you remember in Surah Al-Baqarah, there was the story of Bani Israel when they were actually told to kill themselves.
Yeah.
And
it would have been better to kill yourself than to, if I remember the God was saying at the time in the verses was that it would have been better for you to kill yourself than to do the negatives that you were doing.
I can't remember exactly the verse, but it was around this meaning. And the Sufi explanation is actually to kill like your desires and to kill all the human part of yourself, but not in a literal way.
Yeah.
So these are two possible explanations of it.
Because this also contradicts what we've seen earlier, that killing yourself is something that is considered
a sin.
A huge sin.
It's a huge sin.
So why would God ask you to do that very thing?
Yes, I agree that killing yourself is a huge sin, but still we see, like, for example, in the story of Abraham and Ismail, that God ordered Ibrahim to kill his son.
Yeah.
But then at the end he
gave him a substitute.
He gave him a sacrifice instead of his son. So he didn't actually, so it might be that it's just a way for God to see or to
test your faith.
Test how much you're willing to do.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's also related to being like to submit completely to the orders of God and the orders of the messenger, like we have seen in the previous verses.
Yeah.
So it's still a continuation that you should completely believe at the end of the day and have faith in
And-
what you are told.
And in some ways, submitting your life completely is to say that my life is yours to do with
Yes.
as you please. I completely surrender to whatever you accept me to do. So here I kind of understand that kill your desires, kill your human desires, and just sacrifice yourself, your body for the passage of...
This is the Sufi explanation and interpretation, is that it's not to actually kill yourself, but to sacrifice all your human desires in a way.
But if they had done that, what they were advised, then that surely would have been better for them and stronger in strengthening.
Yeah, so here it says, if we had decreed this upon them to kill themselves or to go out of their homes, and they said that this was also ordered to Bani Israel at a certain point in time, that they were ordered to go out of their homes in Egypt. So if that was decreed, only very few of them would have done it.
Yeah.
But if they had done it, that was better for them, and it would have, and it has the better outcome.
Yeah.
So وأشد تثبيتا meaning like I think it's like the outcome is better for this.
Yeah. And we have this a lot of times in our lives. We have many examples of this where we kind of know that we're supposed to do the good thing, but we don't do the good thing. We do the bad thing, then we suffer. And then we go like, I wish I'd just done the good thing in the beginning to begin with. And here it's kind of like echoed sentiment. If you kind of follow the advice of God, it's usually stronger and a firmer, more reassuring, more, better way of living.
Yes.
Oh, short verses. It's been a while.
إذا لآتيناهم من لدنا أجرا عظيما.
Okay, very short. And if, and then, no, وإذا, if.
And then وإذن
وإذن,
we would have given them.
وإذن, and then we would have given them from ourselves. But لدنا, it just means what has been a reward
from
ourselves,
from what
near
belongs
us.
to us.
Yeah.
من لدنا means I think what belongs to us,
What
or
belongs
from
to us,
what
what's
we have.
near from us. We will give you a reward that is great. So if you had done that, then you would have gotten a reward that's great. If you'd listened to God and what has been decreed, you'd have got a reward that's great.
ولهديناهم صراطا مستقيما.
And we would have guided them to the way that is straight. And this is what we pray for in the first surah, the first chapter of the Quran. We pray for Sirat al-Mustaqim, to be guided to the straight path, to the correct path.
ومن يطع الله والرسول فأولئك مع الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين وحسن أولئك رفيقا.
Okay, and here it's kind of, and whoever obeys God and the messenger, then those are with those whom has been bestowed his favor, how God has bestowed his favor on them, from the prophets, the truthful, the martyrs, the righteous, and excellent are those companions. So you will be kind of compared to the prophets, the people of truth, the martyrs, the righteous, for those who obey God and the messenger. And I think here, again, that's why it's important to say there's a distinction between messenger and prophets.
Yes.
And it's just good company. If you do good, if you obey God, then you are amongst the highest esteem of companions.
Yeah, and in that, of course, it's talking also about the afterlife. That in the afterlife, the people who obey God and the messenger are considered at the level of prophets and and I find it also very interesting that after prophets it comes truthful people, like people who speak the truth.
Yeah.
And the martyrs and the people who do good.
Yeah.
So in the afterlife, after resurrection, these will be the people with you. And then it says at the end of the verse, وَحَسَنَ أُولَٰئِكَ رَفِيقًا. That means these are the best companions.
And excellent are those companions. And these are the better companions, the best companions.
Yes.
What honorable company. It's nice.
ذلك الفضل من الله وكفى بالله عليما.
Yeah, that is the bounty, that is the glory of God, from God, and sufficient is God as an all-knower.
So it's sufficient for you for Allah to know everything.
Yeah, God knows.
Allah knows who deserves that, who deserves this level, and who deserves that bounty.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا خذوا حذركم فانفروا ثبات أو انفروا جميعا.
Okay, new terms for me. O ye of those who believe, take your precautions and advance in groups?
Yes, in groups.
Or advance all together?
Yes.
What do you...
So here it's talking about like being cautious in terms of wars. So be cautious of your enemies and either go out in groups or go out all together so you can protect each other. This is what it means.
Okay.
And then in the next verses it continues to talk about fighting and wars.
وَإِنَّ مِنكُمْ لَمَن لَّيُبَطِّئَنَّ فَإِنْ أَصَابَتْكُم مُّصِيبَةٌ قَالَ قَدْ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيَّ إِذْ لَمْ أَكُن مَّعَهُمْ شَهِيدًا.
Oh, that's a bit interesting. Here it's saying, and indeed amongst you are those who lag behind or are slow. Then if it befalls you a disaster, he said, verily God has favored me, when not that I was with them.
I was not with them.
When I was not with them, present.
Yes. So in those cases, and it's important to note that in the previous verse it mentions that you need to be cautious of your enemy. So as we mentioned before, I think that fighting in Islam started because of to defend. The primary aim or purpose of fighting was to defend.
Yeah.
So here again it says, be cautious of your enemy. So when you know that they are attacking, you need to go out either in groups or all together. And then here it says, within you there will be people who do not want to go with you, who lag behind. And then if you lose, and if a disaster falls upon you, then these people will say, we have been blessed by God because we were not among them, because we didn't go to this war where they lost.
Yeah. Which, do you think this came before the verses in chapter 3? Do we have any idea? Because,
I have no idea.
Yeah, because in chapter 3 it kind of mentions it. There's got to be a way to find
It's kind of related
order of
to what we talk.
Revelation.
Yes.
So they all came out in Surah, yeah. So I guess we're looking for number 3 and number 2. Number 3 and number 4. Here's 3, 89. Number 4, no, came after it.
Yeah.
So this was following the wars that we had discussed.
Yes.
Okay. But it does refer to...
It relates, to Uhud, if you're talking about Uhud, I think.
Yeah, the battle that they...
Yes. Yes, it's similar. It's a bit similar to what we read in the previous chapter. Yes.
Yeah.
وَلَئِنْ أَصَابَكُمْ فَضْلٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ ليقولن كأن لم تكن بينكم وبينه مودة يا ليتني كنت معهم فأفوز فوزا عظيما.
Wow, okay, so there's a big difference between the Arabic translation and the English translation. فأفوز فوزا عظيما. So I would have attained a great success. I would share the great gain. I don't know how my brain translated it to pain.
Oh.
I've been in church since the morning, guys. I'm a little bit woo. But anyway, and if befalls you the bounty from God, surely they would say as if it had not.
There was no bond between you and them.
So if it befalls you the bounty from God,
means if you win, if you were victorious in this battle.
If you were victorious in the battle, they would have said, "Oh, it was not. I wish we had not between us and between them."
They would say as if there was no bond between you and them. So they would say if you were victorious in the battle, they would say, "Oh, we wish we were there with them, so we would have gained a big bounty."
Yeah.
As if they don't know you, as if they never heard about this before, kind of.
Yeah. I wish I had been with them so that I would have gained the great success.
Yeah.
So again, it's talking about those that show up versus those that do not.
Yes. And it's also related to the concept of munafiqeen, or the
hypocrites, the ones that just say that they're there for you and supporting for you, but they don't actually show up when the time comes.
Yes.
Okay.
فليقاتل في سبيل الله الذين يشرون الحياة الدنيا بالآخرة ومن يقاتل في سبيل الله فيقتل أو يغلب فسوف نؤتيه أجرا عظيما.
Okay. So let it fight those in the way of God, or those who sell the life of the world. Sell? Yashrun.
Actually, this is a little bit interesting, and it confused me because Yashruna means to buy. Those who buy this world,
the world of life with the hereafter.
With the hereafter.
That makes more sense. The trade, I guess, is kind of the concept, but.
So it's it can be that they are fighting in the cause of Allah. They are fighting those who sold, who sell the world who buy the world with the hereafter.
So they use the hereafter. They exchange their rights for the hereafter with values of the world.
Yes. Or it can be the other way around. So but it is a little bit confusing. Yeah.
And whoever fights in the way of God, and then he's killed or achieves victories, then soon we will grant him a reward that is great.
Yes.
Yeah. So here it's kind of separating between those that fight in the way of God and those that trade the hereafter value with the worldly pleasures.
Mm-hmm.
وما لكم لا تقاتلون في سبيل الله والمستضعفين من الرجال والنساء والولدان الذين يقولون ربنا أخرجنا من هذه القرية الظالم أهلها واجعل لنا من لدنك وليا واجعل لنا من لدنك نصيرا.
Okay, I mean, I'm unfortunately reminded of a time in our lives today,
yes,
and a place that you can kind of really see this vivid imagery come to life. But
yes.
And what for you that you do not fight in the way of God, and for those who are weak, from the men and the women and the children, those who say, "Our Lord, take us out, deliver us from this town. The oppressors are its people, and appoint for us from yourself a protector, and appoint for us from yourself a helper." So I can't, like, the only thing that I can imagine is those who are being oppressed today. And if you're kind of paying attention to the news at all in the year 2024, then we know that this is very visible. You can see it in places where there's a lot of oppression and hatred and death and no escape. So
Yes, and this is in a way talking to people, how you do not, why wouldn't you fight for those people who are weak? Because here it says, you do not fight, and what is it with you that you do not fight in the way of Allah and for the people who are weak, from the men and women and children who are weak and cannot defend themselves.
yeah,
So you should be fighting for so God is encouraging actually people to fight for the sake of people who cannot defend themselves.
yeah,
In the interpretation, it says that this was referring to Mecca, because in Mecca, when the Prophet first was there with the message, they were very unfair to the believers.
yeah,
So there was a lot of injustice done to the believers. So this is why it says, and they were saying, God, take us out of this village or this town with the oppressors,
yeah.
and make for us a supporter and someone who can make us victorious.
Yeah,
Yeah, but of course we can apply it to what's happening today as well.
yeah. Heavy, but yeah.
الذين آمنوا يقاتلون في سبيل الله والذين كفروا يقاتلون في سبيل الطاغوت فقاتلوا أولياء الشيطان إن كيد الشيطان كان ضعيفا.
I mean, I know there's a lot of mentioning of fighting, but it's like really you can see it as it seems like a good versus evil, and here's kind of the comparison.
Exactly.
For those who believe, they fight in the way of God, and those that disbelieve, they fight in the way of the taghut that we mentioned before, the false
Yes.
deities, money.
Sometimes it's they refer to the devil by a taghut, that it refers to
the
the devil
devils.
or the
Yeah,
bad spirits, magic, evil, the force of evil. Yeah, so exactly like you said, you can see it as a reference to evil. And
Yeah.
even I think today philosophers, like in the modern age, a lot of philosophers keep questioning and studying what is evil, what is the concept of evil, and
Yeah.
what is...
or like the concept of like the Illuminati, the small puppeteers that kind of control the world, that are trying to make it a capitalistic
Yeah.
world. So you can kind of see this. Yeah, that's what you're fighting.
Yeah.
So fight against the friends or the guardians of the shaitan, the devil, Satan. Indeed, the strategy of the devil, the ploys, the schemes of the devil
Yes.
is weak. Which actually, this is kind of as much as it paints a story of light versus evil, it also says that evil may seem strong, but in reality, their schemes are weak.
Yes.
Their strategies are weak.
ألم تر إلى الذين قيل لهم كفوا أيديكم وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة فلما كتب عليهم القتال إذا فريق منهم يخشون الناس كخشية الله أو أشد خشية وقالوا ربنا لم كتبت علينا القتال لولا أخرتنا إلى أجل قريب قل متاع الدنيا قليل والآخرة خير لمن اتقى ولا تظلمون فتيلا.
Okay. Big verse, and to understand it, it's going to take a bit of challenge. Have you not seen that towards those who was said to them, restrain your hands and establish prayer, and give the zakah, which is giving to the poor, giving to the needy, paying alms tax. Then what was ordained for them, for the fighting, then what was told to fighting, then a group of them feared the people as they fear God. They kind of like wanted to avoid being chosen for war, I believe, or even more intensely, or feared the people more than they feared God. And they said, Lord, why did you ordain for us the fighting? Why not postpone it to a term that is near? So the response to that is, say, an enjoyment of the world is very little, and the hereafter is better for those who fear and do not be wronged.
You will not be wronged.
And you will not be wronged.
Even to the smallest
The
size.
hair on a date
Yes.
seed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here it says that it was talking about the believers that at a certain point when they were in Mecca, they were ordered not to fight yet. So at the beginning, so this is why it's saying, did you not see those who have been told do not fight? Just pray and do your zakah. And then afterwards, when they moved to Al-Madinah, there was a certain point when the Prophet called for fighting. So it says here that at the time when they were called for fighting, a group of them didn't want to, because they feared, and it says they feared people as the same as they feared God, or even more.
Yeah.
And still we can see this today. We can see that people who can do something and who can fight for a good cause, they are scared of sometimes even nothing real, like just in their head they are scared of even saying the truth or speaking their mind. So you can see that people, this happens a lot. I think that sometimes people fear other people more than they fear God. And then it says, and then they told God, why do you
why have you ordered us to fight?
Order us to fight? Why don't you postpone it a little bit so that they can enjoy their lives? Meaning, so that they can enjoy their lives a little bit more. And then here it says, it talks to the Prophet and it says, tell them that the enjoyment of this world is very small, is very little. The hereafter is better.
For whoever fears. And it will not be wronged by not even...
and you will not be wronged,
talking about those that fight and don't fight and have been ordained.
أينما تكونوا يدرككم الموت ولو كنتم في بروج مشيدة وإن تصبهم حسنة يقولوا هذه من عند الله وإن تصبهم سيئة يقولوا هذه من عندك قل كل من عند الله فما لهؤلاء القوم لا يكادون يفقهون حديثا.
Okay, interesting. Continuing the position of that your reward in the hereafter is better than the reward of the earth, because the earth is very temporary. Wherever you are, death will overtake you, and death will come to you.
Death will reach you. I think yudrikakum is the closest translation would be to reach you. Reach you.
Wherever you are, death is coming for you. Whoever you are, death is coming for you. And even if you are in the towers, in the lofty towers and protected, and befalls, death reaches you even if you were in the highest and most protected of towers. And if befalls them any good, they say this is from God. But if befalls them anything evil, they say this is from you. So here we understand that it's
to the prophet,
to the messenger, and say everything is from God. So what is
wrong with these people?
So what is wrong with these people? They do not see themselves to understand any statement.
They don't understand. Like they don't understand They don't understand your statements, or they don't understand the meanings of the Quran. So here, if we go from the beginning, it's speaking again about the people who didn't want to fight, that you don't want to fight, but wherever you are, even if you're in the highest tower, if death comes to you, it will get to you. It will reach you.
Yeah.
Even if you're in the highest towers. And then these people, like, and it's the continuation of what we have been talking about from the beginning of the verses today, of the people who are hypocrites, who show that they believe but they don't really believe, and so on. So here also it talks about that some people, when something good happens to them, they say, yeah, this is from God. And again, this is speaking about the time of the Prophet. And then when something bad happens to them, they say that this is from the Prophet, because they were blaming him for his management.
You told us to go to there. If you told us to do these good things, and then we suffered the consequences. It's your fault.
Yes. And then here God is telling the Prophet to reply to these people and tell them
everything's from God.
Everything is from God.
Yeah. Which this is a philosophy that I believe in strongly. There's no such thing as a bad thing. Like, the negative things that happen to you in your life are designed to kind of strengthen you, to test you, to improve you, to kind of this. Obviously, it's very hard when you're feeling those negative things happening to you to see this as from God. Like, why would God want me to suffer? Why would God want children to suffer? Why would they want to spread pain or heartache anywhere in the world? Yeah. And the idea is that it's there for a reason. It's there for us to evolve. It's there for us to grow. It's there for us to improve. And everything is from God. Not just the good, but also the bad, which is kind of interesting. And you may not understand it, you may not be able to see it, but that doesn't mean that God's evil for having bad things happen to you. You know what I mean? I think this is very powerful philosophy that I truly eat, live, breathe, and sleep. It's kind of like, even the bad things that happen to you, they're destined, and they're there for a reason. They're to train you, to improve you, to grow you. When we're children, life is easy and fun and great, and then something gets taken away from us. Our parents tell us, you can't do this, you can't do that, and we get so mad and so angry that we have this negative thing, whereas in reality it's kind of training to kind of say, Assalamu alaikum, Mo, welcome to the conversation. I think this is a philosophy from people to make believe themselves feel better. Also, hi. Hello.
Hi.
This is not just a philosophy from people, this is what the Quran is saying.
So
that
actually here, because the next verse is also related a little bit to this, but in this verse it says, because they were blaming it on the Prophet, that it's the mismanagement of the Prophet, or what he ordered the people, is what led to the bad thing to happen. But here it says that everything is from God.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that if you think of it, that there is a reason for everything, and everything leads you to everything else, then I also agree with Moheb. Then this is a way to make yourself feel good about everything, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
If you can accept what's happening in your life as
necessary,
as something that has a meaning, that you can learn from everything that happens to you, then you will never be upset, because you will just see every problem as just an opportunity to learn something new, to be better, to be stronger. And I think that's usually what happens. Whenever you face a challenge, you always learn something from it.
Yeah. So thanks, Mahab, for sharing that perspective. We appreciate it.
ما أصابك من حسنة فمن الله وما أصابك من سيئة فمن نفسك وأرسلناك للناس رسولا وكفى بالله شهيدا.
Okay. Now, is he saying what is being said, or is this saying the opposite?
It's not exactly the opposite, but I also got confused when I read this the first time. So if you want to go through it, and then we discuss it.
Sure. And whatever befalls of you from good, then it is from God, and whatever befalls for you from bad, from evil, from something negative, then it is from yourself. And we have sent you to the people as a messenger, and God is sufficient as a witness.
The way I understood it, it's not necessarily what's written in the interpretations or what's written in this translation, because we use the word hasana and sayyi'ah, as a way to
What was used before? Yeah. Hasana and Sayyi'ah.
for good and evil, yes. And
Yeah.
it can also mean what you do good and what you do evil. It can also mean the
Yeah, but what has befalls you, what has happened
what
to you
has
of
happened
good?
to you of good is from God, but what happens to you from bad is from yourself. And this is here God talking to the prophet. And we have sent you as a messenger, and God is the witness on you. So in the previous verse, it was talking to the prophet, telling him what to tell
The people?
the people.
That everything's
So
from God?
yes. So when they blame him for what's happening, they tell him you're you're the problem. You are the one who told us to do this. So God was telling him to tell them, no, everything is from God. But then God here is talking to the messenger, to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he's telling him, so whatever happens to you from good is from God, but also be careful with what you do, because sometimes what happens to you when it's bad, it can be from yourself.
Which I think is kind of like a different philosophy. Also the concept of if you do good, good things happen, and if you do bad, bad things happen.
Yes, here this is what it means, that if something bad to you happens, it might be that you were not you didn't act in the best way possible.
Yeah.
And I think this is another example. We have seen something like this before, because some of the critics of Islam say that sometimes that Muhammad wrote the Quran. I don't think that anyone who read the Quran can really believe that.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of blaming. I don't know if I should call it blaming, but it shows in many verses that he wasn't always acting like he was a human being, and God was ordering him and advising him to act in a specific way.
So the things out of my control are sent from God, but my decisions are my own bad fault. It's not necessarily about placing blame, I think, but I think it's about understanding, learning, and growing. So if we take the comparison, when good things happen, we're grateful and they're from God. But when bad things happen, we have to kind of reflect upon ourselves about how we can change our behavior so that we can head towards a healthier thing. Because you also need to learn how to protect yourself. You also need to learn how to guide. Because there are people that have come into our lives that have hurt us. And those people we allowed to be there. So the negative is something that you can kind of look at yourself and change and improve.
Yes.
Whereas the positive is something that you're just grateful for God. So it's not about placing blame on yourself, but it's about placing the responsibility of change upon yourself.
Yes, because I also think if we just sit here and we say everything good that happens and everything bad that happens is all from God, and I have nothing to do with it, and I have no responsibility over anything, then
you don't do anything.
Then it's you're not doing anything, you're not improving, you're not working towards anything. So you have to also believe in your own personal responsibility and your power to change things in your life.
And the opposite, if you believe that everything good is as a result of your own doing, then you get an ego, you're like, it's all my fault, and it's not God's fault. So it's a way of keeping you humble about the good and keeping you responsible for the bad.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because the two verses, the first verse when it says, when it tells the prophet to tell them that everything is from God, is also for them to see and to believe in God and to believe in the power of God.
Yeah.
But then when it's the conversation between God and the messenger, then he shows him that there are some things from yourself that you have to
improve upon, work upon. Just because you're the prophet doesn't mean that just because you're the messenger doesn't mean that you are immune to wrong, and doesn't mean that you are just going to do everything that's right. You still have to kind of do better and think better, and responsibility, not blame, is the focus.
And then it says that we have sent you to the people as a messenger, that you are a messenger to the people, and it's enough for you that God is a witness. So what is the sufficient thing for you is God is a witness to what you are doing and how they are responding to it. And then in the next verse, I think it will elaborate a little bit on this.
Sure.
من يطع الرسول فقد أطاع الله ومن تولى فما أرسلناك عليهم حفيظا.
And whoever and thee who obeys the messenger, then surely he has obeyed God, and whoever turns away, then surely we have sent you on them as a guardian. We have not sent you.
We have not. We have not
whoever
sent
turns
you
away.
on them as a guardian. So here again, it states also the previous topic we talked about, that the obedience of the prophet is the same. If you obey the prophet, then you obey God, because he's the messenger of God and he comes with God's orders. And then it's talking to the prophet, and it says, like, whoever turns away, you are not a guardian over them, or you are not a keeper over them. And this is why also in the previous verse it says you are sent as a messenger, and a messenger is like someone who comes with a message. Who delivers a certain message. But if they do not listen to you, then you are not their guardian. You are not responsible, and you just let them.
It's beautiful to say that you're tasked with sharing them a message, and if they follow you, then they follow God. But if they don't follow you, don't enforce your vision on them. You're not responsible for them. They are responsible for themselves.
Yeah.
And kind of separate them.
Yeah, and literally it says, we have not sent you as a guardian. So in the previous verse it says, we have sent you as a messenger, so someone with a message.
Yeah.
And here it says, we have not sent you as their guardian or keeper over them, or to watch their actions.
ويقولون طاعة فإذا برزوا من عندك بيت طائفة منهم غير الذي تقول والله يكتب ما يبيتون فأعرض عنهم وتوكل على الله وكفى بالله وكيلا.
Okay. And they say that we pledge obedience, but then when they leave from you, and they plan by night, a group of them, other than that which you say. So they tell you we obey, but when they leave, a group of them would spend the night contradicting what they said. And God records what they planned by night. So turn away from them and put your trust in God, and sufficient is God as a trustee.
Yeah. So and here it's talking again about the hypocrites,
Munafiqeen, the people who...
that they tell the prophet, what they tell him is that they obey him, and then whenever they leave, they are as if plotting against him.
And God is telling the messenger to kind of, don't worry, put your trust in God, and sufficient is God as a trustee. So turn away from them and put your trust in God. Even those the ones that say nice things in front of you and then do say opposite, just let God take care of them. You don't have to worry about them.
Yeah, and I think here also it shows the concept in Islam, which I think many people don't really understand, that if you know that it is a peaceful religion, in its core it's a very peaceful religion. So God didn't tell him you should make them follow you, or fight them because they are plotting against you or anything of that sort. He's saying like, okay, they are saying that they obey you and they actually are plotting against you. Just stay away from them and put your trust in God. And I think this is at the core of what
surrendering to God is. Islam meaning surrender. That's why you only fight those who are fighting you. Those who are plotting against you, let them plot.
Put your trust in God.
أفلا يتدبرون القرآن ولو كان من عند غير الله لوجدوا فيه اختلافا كثيرا.
Don't they think about what is in the Quran?
Don't they ponder about the Quran? And if it had been from somewhere other than from God, they would have found in it contradictions that are... they would have found many inconsistencies and contradictions. Which kind of reminds me of the contradictions that I've heard of in the Bible. I don't know them that well because I've only just started studying it, but there seems to be contradictions in it. There are some things that kind of... I'm not going to get into too many explanations, but there are contradictions within the Bible that I've heard. Whereas here it's saying, and if if this book, the Quran, wasn't from God, then they would have found many contradictions in it.
Yes.
كثيرا.
Yeah, and I think this is why what we're doing is very valuable.
Yeah.
Like reading the Quran and really thinking about the meanings in it and really studying it a little bit and researching the words and the meanings and because if someone wants to understand and someone and wants to decide for themselves if this is really the word of God, then this is what they need to do.
Yeah.
وإذا جاءهم أمر من الأمن أو الخوف أذاعوا به ولو ردوه إلى الرسول وإلى أولي الأمر منهم لعلمه الذين يستنبطونه منهم ولولا فضل الله عليكم ورحمته لاتبعتم الشيطان إلا قليلا.
I can see that my concentration levels are a little bit slow today. And if it comes to them a matter of security or fear, then they spread with it.
Yeah, here it's talking again about about these hypocrites who claim that they believe that whenever it comes to them, it's written in a different way. But what it means is that when they hear about
Security or fear,
victory or defeat in a battle, for example, that the followers of Muhammad have been defeated or have been victorious. So when it reaches them, they would spread the word around. Like, did you hear they were defeated? Or did you hear they were victorious and now we're safe? And this isn't so you can continue from here.
But if they had referred to the messenger and to those who have authority from among them, surely they would have known that those who draw correct conclusions from it among them.
But if they had returned it to the Prophet and to those with authority, then they would have known, these people would have known what they should have said and what they shouldn't have, how to draw a conclusion from it and what to say, like what is the correct message to deliver to the people, not just everything. And if not for the mercy of Allah and His bounty, you would have followed the
devil,
Satan or the devil, except for very few of you. And here in the interpretation it talks a little bit about al-fitna, the concept of fitna, meaning that when a group of people believe in something and then someone spreads a word, spreads a rumor or something, and then you find a lot of people starting to get really scared, and then they keep scaring each other, and then they turn away, and then this group is like shattered, divided. Yes. So here it says like, except if it wasn't for God's mercy and bounty upon you, you would have followed the devil, except very few of you. If it wasn't for God's mercy, then this would have been what would happen, that you would all be divided.
So it's kind of the again, the munafiqeen, the power of spreading words between people and trying to shake the faith instead of having depending on the messenger and his
and the people in authority.
فقاتل في سبيل الله لا تكلف إلا نفسك وحرض المؤمنين عسى الله أن يكف بأس الذين كفروا والله أشد بأسا وأشد تنكيلا.
So here it's a message to the messenger. So fight in the way of God, and you are not responsible except for yourself, and encourage the believers. So perhaps God is enough to restrain the might of those who disbelieved, and God indeed is stronger in might and stronger in punishment far superior in might and punishment than those disbelievers. So kind of limiting the messenger's perspective to say, fight in the way of God, you're not responsible for others. God is stronger than the disbelievers, and God is the most mighty and most strong in punishment.
Yes.
من يشفع شفاعة حسنة يكن له نصيب منها ومن يشفع شفاعة سيئة يكن له كفل منها وكان الله على كل شيء مقيتا.
Okay, it's kind of tying back to the point that Mahab was bringing up, Ketchup Mo was bringing up in the chat. It's consequential, and it's not just that everything's from God, so you just throw your hands up and say it doesn't matter. Here it says, whoever intercedes in an intercession that is good, whoever does something that is good or works for a good cause, then he will have a share of he will have a share of the goodness. And whoever intercedes in intercession, whoever does things in an evil way, then he will have for him a portion of it for sure. And God is over everything, a keeper. So God is keeping score. The more good you do, the more good you'll get. The more bad you do, the more bad you'll get. But again, keeping that philosophy in mind, if you keep that philosophy that good comes from God and you stay humble, not just that it's coming from yourself, and that if you look at yourself, you have to kind of improve the negative, which I think is important.
Yeah, and if you're related to the previous verse, then it can also be related to what we say, our words. So whoever does good, like in saying something good or spreading good words, then they will have a share of the goodness that comes out of it. And whoever does something bad, like spreading rumors or saying things that are not correct or manipulating people and so on, then they will also get a share of the bad outcome of this thing.
Yeah. So choose which bed you wish to make for yourself.
إذا حييتم بتحية فحيوا بأحسن منها أو ردوها إن الله كان على كل شيء حسيبا.
Okay. Interesting you were saying it was about salam?
Greetings.
Greetings. And if you are greeted with a greeting then greet back with something better than it, or return it as it is. Indeed, God is of everything an accountant. So if you're given like Assalamu alaikum, you can say Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Exactly.
Assalamu alaikum means peace be upon you. Wa alaikum assalam means peace be upon you. Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and the mercy of God and His blessings. So you're adding peace be upon you, and the mercy of God and His blessings. It's always you want to return more than what you have been given, or at the very least, give the same amount that you're given.
Yes. And I think this is a very nice thing we have in the Arabic greeting.
Yeah.
Because you don't just say hi.
Yeah.
You say peace be upon you, mercy be upon you, blessings be upon you. So you are as if you are giving good...
really warm greetings, really kind of wishing something
warm
good.
Wishes, yes, exactly, to the other person. And then here it says that if you are given like these wishes, then
Give
make even better wishes.
Ones back, yeah. Which I think it's the beauty of the Arabic language. It's the beauty of the expression.
Yeah.
I like it. And the last verse for today.
الله لا إله إلا هو ليجمعنكم إلى يوم القيامة لا ريب فيه ومن أصدق من الله حديثا.
So we are kind of ending with something that we've heard quite some time ago, but it's good for repetition because our brains forget a lot. God, there is no other God except Him. He will surely gather you to a day that is of resurrection, the day of resurrection that has no doubt in it. And who is more truthful than God over statements? Who is more mindful of the truth? Who is more truthful than God? Very beautiful.
Yes.
I liked it. It's interesting. be good, do good, and what are the consequences of being good and doing good. It's brought up some interesting philosophical discussions. But thank you all for attending. As usual, we will always end with Sadaq Allahu al-Ali al-Azim. Trusted is the word of God. And thank you all for tuning. I love you all, and ciao ciao. Salam alama. Bye.
Bye.